So I just want to take some time and show you some videos on Blackboard and how to edit them. What you'll find mostly is that Blackboard is clunky, rather looks sort of irritating to use, but it's pretty predictable and fairly straightforward. So when you're looking at your courses, the easiest thing to see is this is what it looks like. A couple things to point out. You have in this top right corner, you have an edit mode and you have a student preview. So if I turn edit mode off, that means I can't actually make any changes to anything, and I can click around as if I'm in the site. So in other words, if I go into lab manuals, right, it shows me all of these things, right? But the edit tab, okay, so if I turn edit back on, there's going to be a little tab that shows up. See, everything that was hidden from the students came up, and these little edit tabs reappear. So I can turn edit mode off, and all of that stuff goes away, and I go back to my announcements, which is just sort of the default screen. Okay. The other thing we can do is I can leave edit mode on, and I can just ask, what does this look like as a student? And I can enter the student preview. So this is what your students will see. Right, notice they don't have any, there's a bunch of options that are missing, right? The scroll bar is less. So you can see what the students see to make sure that you've done things the way that you expect. Okay, and then you can just exit the preview to go back. All right, so on this left side, this is where all of the content bars are. If I want to add content bars, it's this little plus sign here. I can add contents, blank pages, all of this stuff right up here, right? So once they're created, I can change their order. To change their order, I select here, and then I can click them and move them up and down. Okay. I can refresh them, or I can open a new course menu. Okay. So these are all the options, places where I can put stuff. So there's this one here I'm going to show you. Right. So I can also just click and drag if I want to move it up and down. Okay. So this little gray bar means there's link has no content. Now, if the link has no content, it doesn't show up for students. So if I go into the student preview, right, notice that that recording one is gone. So you can make tabs and not put anything in them, and they won't show up to the students. The other thing I can do is instead of having nothing, I can have things in it, but then this little bar here says hide this link from students. So that's hidden from students. So if I go back to the student preview, then that tab, capstone tab, is gone. Okay. Now, I said Blackboard pretty much uses the same thing for everything. So there's these little edit tabs, right? So I have this link recordings. I want to rename a link. It brings it up, and I'm going to rename it to Blackboard recordings. And that's where you found this video, right? Blackboard recordings, and then I click a little save, and now there it is. Now notice it's still empty, so it's there, and I can hide it. Right, I can click on tab here and I can hide it, and both come up, right? So there's the little gray box telling me that there's nothing in it. Then there's the line that tells me it's still hidden from students, but I don't need to hide it from you, even though there's nothing in it at the moment. Okay, so that's basically how things work, all right? In the giving students things, your students will never see this bottom panel down here, which is course management. This is where you can do everything special. Right? So if we click on a files list, the name of this course is AS66Com. Okay? That's a standard thing. And it shows me all the files that are there. So if I wanted a particular file, I could go in and download it specifically if I didn't know where it was, or I couldn't remember where I put it when I uploaded it, what tab it was in, but I knew I was looking for it. And you can also upload directly replacements. So say I wanted to replace this 103 manual with a new version, rather than having to go into lab manuals and replace it there. All right, the edit tab, it's very predictable. There's an overwrite file, and I can upload the new copy right there, and it doesn't have to change the link or do any modifications to anywhere else. Okay. That's all you'll need under files. Course tools is where everything else goes. Essentially anything you can put in up here comes down as a course tool. I don't use that option very often. Evaluation. The only thing I ever do is you click on really under evaluation is performance dashboard. There are a whole bunch of course reports, but for this labs, for labs you won't need them. Under Performance Dashboard, it gives me the list of all the students. What I find helpful is days since last login, so I can see who has logged in and who has never logged in. Okay, it's not really so the useful information there is that I can see if students are going in and seeing things or if they are not. Okay, that's about all you need under evaluation. Grade Center. Grade Center is things. So needs grading. So when lab reports are upgraded, if I click on needs grading, any of the lab reports that have been submitted, they'll come up in time order. I can just start editing them right from the screen in any order that they're submitted. Okay. I can go to the full grade center. The full grade center is where it's going to give me a list of the students and all of their grades. Okay. So you may not necessarily need to see particular columns in the grade center, so you can just open it up and click hide from instructor view. Like, why do I need to see the student IDs? And the student IDs will go away. Okay. The other thing is you're going to want to get rid of total, weighted total, total, and then for various reasons you want to delete these three columns: total, weighted total, total, and then for the last column you're not going to be able to delete it. Okay, so you're going to go to edit column information. And down here, this is the standard view. So any of those columns that are up there, again, I hit the edit tab, right? It's predictable. There's all these options that we'll talk about in a second. But if you come down to the bottom for options, include this in calculations, no. Show it to students, no, right? And then click submit. Right? And it tells me it's not a weight of 100. That's fine. I don't need this column. It's the column that gives you students inflated scores because it's not ready. And so if I wanted to get rid of, say, this one over here, I want to delete this total column, and it says, are you sure you want to do that? And I say yes. All right. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other two. Notice it's gone. So if you have data and you've put in their scores down a column and you click delete, you cannot recover it. So don't delete columns unless you mean it. And then now that I have this weighted one, it has the line through which says it's not visible to students. Okay, so if I were to open up the student view under where my grade was, they wouldn't see this column. But now I also don't want to sign it, so I'm going to hide it from instructor view. Okay. Now when you have all of your, we're going to see in future movie videos where we make files or we make assignments, that there'll be more columns here, and I'll show you how to use how these up here work. Okay. That's Grade Center. Users and groups you won't need. All right, users, you can click on users to see who's in your course. Right, this is where you should print out, okay, from this users, because it's the nicest, easiest thing to print. You should print out for your attendance. Okay, so you can print it out and walk through your attendance. You can make your slashes or whatever. But then it also gives you everyone's email address on the fly. Customization you won't need. The only thing you'll need under customization is the properties, right? So properties is where you say make the course available, yes or no. All right, so right now if I make this course available no, none of you will be able to see it because you're listed as students in the course, but all the professors and instructors can still see it. Okay, and nothing else here is anything you have to worry about. That's all for customization. Packages and utilities would come up later. If you really get into Blackboard, we can talk about how to copy courses, how to copy grade books next. Once you get through your first semester, or we come up with sort of standardized ways of doing things. All right, so that's Blackboard in a nutshell. I'm going to make a couple other little recordings here to show you how to make assignments and some other things.